Yep, welcome back to another video. Got a special reaction for you guys today. Today we're gonna be reacting to Jimmy High Roller, the greatest MVP race of our time. Now, if you don't know already, the MVP race is between Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with Giannis trailing right behind. But this video is not really about Giannis. It's really more about Jokic and Shai, and how Jokic could really win his fourth MVP. I mean, it'll definitely pull what LeBron did, win two MVPs, take a little break, then win two more. Some people say that, Jokic should have had Embiid's MVP. If that was the case, Jokic 5 MVPs in a row. I mean, that's insane, bro. But I ain't got nothing much to say. I looked at the thumbnail, I seen Jokic, I seen Shai, so I knew it's gonna be something. Obviously, I do expect some James Harden comparison with Shai, which I think is diabolical, man. No way we're comparing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to prime James Harden, bro. Houston Rockets James Harden, dog. Come on, man. Let's be for real. Ain't no way we doing that. I hope that's not it, but I do expect it. I do expect some Nikola Jokic stuff with some LeBron and MJ type stuff, whatever, man. So let's see what we got.
We are now just a few weeks away from the end of the 2025 NBA regular season, and by this point, the MVP race is usually all but wrapped up. But what do you do when there's two MVPs? History says you vote for the guy who is leading his team to the most wins of any team in a decade while putting up prime Michael Jordan numbers. Very clearly the best.
See that, bro? Bro, I don't think I can hear though, but
player on the best team, which should putting up you vote for the guy who is leading his team to the most wins of any team in a decade while putting up prime Michael Jordan numbers.
Prime Michael Jordan numbers, bro. Come on, dude.
Very clearly the best player on the best team, which should make this decision pretty obvious. Except it's not, because history has never seen a season like the one Nikola Jokic is having. It's better than this one, and this one, and this one. In fact,
bro, this man got 3 different MVP trophies. Why do you keep switching it up, dude? What's going on with that?
It's possibly the most impactful season anyone has ever had. 2 all-time great campaigns, and only 1 trophy. It is the greatest MVP race in recent history, and it has left voters completely torn, questioning what it even means to be the NBA's most valuable player. Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. It's that time of year, my friends. The NBA season is getting more intense by the day with 6 players and just point them in. That's right. Download Moco. The most compelling case someone can make to be the most valuable player in the league is to put up the best numbers in the league. This isn't the only ingredient to the MVP recipe, but it's a big one. And right now, Jokic and Shai aren't just having the 2 best seasons in the NBA, they're having 2 of the best seasons of all time. Just looking at some simple box score numbers, Nikola Jokic jumps off the screen.
See, and the only reason why I'm voting for Nikola Jokic over Shai is not because of Shai. It's because of James Harden, bro. Now I understand, the field goal and 3-point percentage wasn't James Harden. Like, I know James shoots probably like 45 from the field goal, and I think he shoots around like 37 around the 3-point. But my thing is, bro, I remember when James Harden, and let's say this is Giannis, let's say this is James Harden, bro. I remember James Harden putting up way better numbers than this. When this number right here was 36, and this was like 6, and this was 7 or 8, and this was about the same, and this was close enough. I think he was shooting like 87 from the free throw line though. But I'm just saying, I remember when that was the case, bro. And they gave it to Giannis, and Giannis wasn't putting up these stats right here. He wasn't averaging. Yeah, he's averaging like 5 assists. I could say the points and the rebounds kind of the same, but he wasn't doing this. You know what I mean? So that's why I can't vote Shai, bro, because they didn't give it to James. Why would I give it to Shai, bro?
Screen like the obvious favorite. A near 30-point triple-double.
And I understand team record, James and team in the fourth,
player to ever be top 3 in points,
Shai leading his team to the best record in the league and whatever.
Numbers that make Shai's season look a bit pedestrian, despite being historic. 33, 5, and 6 on at least 60% true shooting is a stat line that has only been achieved by 3 other players in the history of the NBA: Michael Jordan, James Harden, and Luka Doncic.
What did I tell you, man? I told y'all there's gonna be some James Harden comparisons to this, dude. look at this. I'm not gonna lie, dang, 64. But look at James, bro. You know what I'm saying? Look, I was right too. And his numbers kind of stayed the same right here for this. 2026, so 36. So you telling me James put up this in 2018, 2019, right? 36, 7, and 8 on 61.6% shooting. And then it went MVP. Then he puts up these numbers. And then it went to MVP. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Across 5 different seasons.
And look, Jokic is putting up kind of like the same as, and I mean, Doncic is putting up this kind of like the same as Shea, bro. Why is he not getting the recognition like the MVP post like it's just Shea was doing?
Although none of them,
I know a lot of it have to do with like team record and stuff
this season. However, box score numbers by themselves have never been quite enough to compel voters. Of these 5 previous seasons, only one of them ended up winning the MVP, Michael Jordan in '88. And to pull it off,
you see what I'm saying? Like,
he had to also be the best defensive player in the league. In the case of Jokic, there's only been one season in modern NBA history that compares to his, Russell Westbrook in 2017. And that season, he was the runaway MVP, receiving 69 of the total 101 first place votes. The glaring difference between these two seasons? The mile-wide gap in their efficiency. Nearly a decade and some of the most absurd statistical seasons later, and the upgraded version of Westbrook's MVP season not only doesn't warrant a runaway victory for the award, it may not even win it. But these numbers hardly even scratch the surface of the impact and value these two provide every game. If we take a deeper look into some of their more advanced numbers, we can see just how remarkable Shea and Jokic have been this season and why the MVP race is
they've been
as
playing
close
really
as
good,
it
I'll be
is.
honest.
To put into perspective the caliber
This
of
is a really
season
good
these
MVP
two
race.
are having, LeBron at his absolute
this is one of, I'm sorry, pause now. This is one of MVP races where you like, dang, I really don't know who's gonna win, bro. Like, dang, I really don't know what to say.
Peak had a box plus minus of 13.24. Steph Curry at his absolute best had a BPM of 11.94. This season, Jokic has a box plus minus of 13.21 and Shea is at 11.58. Choosing between Jokic and SGA this season is like picking between 09 LeBron and 2016 Steph. Good luck. For the last half-decade, Jokic has led the league in just about every advanced metric by about a mile. But this season, Shea has threatened Jokic's spot and even dethroned him at times as the best player in the league. A feat that, in and of itself, is probably the most impressive thing he's done all season. On any given night, either one of them can look like the most impactful player on the planet. And even looking at advanced numbers, the edge is only slightly in Jokic's favor. Crafted NBA has Jokic as the best player in the NBA this season, with Shea right behind him, and then a really big gap, and then everyone else. Estimated plus minus, on the other hand, has Shea as the best player in the league this season, with Jokic right behind him, and then huge gap, everyone else. A quick glance at any of these catch-all statistics will tell you that Jokic and SGA are both historically and almost equally as dominant this season. Fortunately for those who are put to the difficult task of choosing between Jokic and SGA for MVP, these numbers have never been a direct indication.
But it's also, bro, it's also the refs too, dude. Like I said, sorry, but it's also the refs, bro. This man, I mean, bro, it's because, bro, Jokic is actually playing like the MVP, and so is Shea. But when the refs decide the game, bro, it's like, okay, the refs should win the MVP award too, dude. Right? I mean, I watched those games. I was watching the OKC and Clippers game. I know I like to watch the Clippers game. James Harden and stuff. Bro, you couldn't even touch that man, bro. Couldn't even look at him. They called a foul when he was driving and no one was near him. You know what I mean? So when the refs playing part in your game to make you look good, bro, how can you be the MVP?
The award. Over the last 2 decades, the best or most impactful player in the NBA in any given season, according to some of the best advanced metrics, ended up winning the MVP award only about half of the time. Many times, these are cases where the individual numbers were backed with regular season team success, but rarely have the numbers alone, regardless of how great they were, been enough to be crowned the most valuable player in the league. In fact, if putting up how great they were...
Hey, what's this, bro? Why you ain't put a trophy right here? Everybody else got a trophy except James.
enough to be crowned the most valuable player in the league. In fact, if putting up the best stats automatically made a player the MVP, voting for the award wouldn't even be necessary. So in terms of sheer individual numbers, there isn't a very compelling case to be made in either direction. Jokic's numbers are better, but without more context, their dominance from game to game is virtually the same. So we need to add more context. How are these performances impacting their team? And to what extent does their historic
Thunder got the best record, man.
team to success?
What did I 16-11 or something? I seen that interview too. I know why he's making that face.
In most cases, when two players are having incredible seasons, the tiebreaker in the eyes of fans and voters comes down to how well their team is playing. The second ingredient to the MVP recipe: win and win often. 25 of the last 30 MVPs went to players who clinched either the first or second seed in their conference. And right now, the Thunder aren't just winning more games than the Nuggets. They are the fourth highest winning team in modern NBA history. But recently, team success has held less weight in the MVP discussion than it has in the past. 3 of the last 4 MVPs going to players outside of the top 2 seeds.
Look at this, man, dude. And some people, some of y'all was talking about it should have gone to Joel Embiid or something like that, right? Bro, I mean, it should have gone on Nikola Jokic right here. That man would have been like and if he went this year, that man would have been a 5 straight time MVP, bro. Think about that. If Joel Embiid don't play this season, Jokic win the MVP, and if he got a case to win MVP again, he'd be a 5-time straight MVP.
Nikola Jokic being just the second player in over 40 years to win the MVP, despite his team not even cracking 50 wins in a full season back in 2021. As if the voters have made the decision that the MVP isn't limited to simply the best player on the best team, but rather the player who has the largest impact on a winning team. And right now, there is one player in basketball who is impacting the game far more than anyone else. Here are the current top 8 leaders in the MVP race: Jokic, Shea, Giannis, Tatum, Mitchell, Curry, Mobley, and LeBron.
This is my problem right here too. I was just talking to a friend today. Bro, how can you have, and he might have been right, but I don't think he was, because I understand, like, how can you have D. Mitch and Evan Mobley in the same MVP race, dude? That don't even make sense. But then I started to realize that, okay, when Russell was playing with Harden and the Rockets, they both was in the MVP conversation. I know LeBron and AD were both in the MVP conversation. I know Steph and KD were both in the MVP conversation. So, I mean, I get it, but it's like, bro, this man's really... You telling me he's really 7th in the MVP conversation, bro? Evan Mobley. Let's be for real, bro. I understand he's having a monster year on the defensive end.
Shea has put on a masterclass all season, leading the Thunder to be not just the most
dominant. And LeBron too. James Harden putting up way better numbers than this, dude, than both of these fools. Respectfully, dog. I understand the first 4 and probably the first 5. Donovan Mitchell got a case, man. But come on, dude. You can switch these out with anybody. KD should be on this list. Harden should be on this list.
Team this season, but the second most dominant regular season team in NBA history in terms of net rating. And for many people, the overwhelming team success the Thunder have had this season is enough to push Shea into the lead for the MVP. But value isn't just when your team wins. It is how much your team depends on you to win. If we look at each team's net rating when their MVP candidate is on the floor, it is clear that the Thunder are easily the best team in the league when Shea is on the court, with an absurd net rating of plus 18.3. This means that when Shea is on the floor, the Thunder are nearly 20 points better than their opponents per 100 possessions, followed by the Cavs with Mobley, the Cavs with Mitchell, and the Nuggets with Jokic. But the most revealing measure is the difference a player makes for their team when they're on the court versus when they're off the court, where Nikola Jokic jumps out as by far the most valuable and important player to his team in the entire league. His presence on the floor is the difference between the Nuggets being a net negative 8.2 points, bordering the worst team in the NBA.
Oh, a little bit of math here, I see. I was trying to figure out what was going on with these numbers. Yeah, you know, plus minus plus, plus plus plus, plus minus plus, plus plus plus, plus plus minus. That's weird. This is weird. Okay.
A
Yeah, I get what I'm saying. Oh, because
one
the
of
numbers.
best teams
Hey, I
in
know
the
Matt,
NBA.
bro. Shut up.
For many of these MVP candidates, their team can still compete at a high level even when they're off the court. Like the Celtics without Tatum, the Cavs without Mitchell or without Mobley, the Lakers without LeBron, and the Thunder without Shea. Steph and Giannis are the only other MVP candidates who elevate their teams from below average to title contenders. But without Jokic on the floor this season, the Nuggets are nearly the worst team in the league. Now, it's worth considering who these players play around when they're on the floor. A rotation that tends to keep starters together is bound to favor those in that starting lineup compared to a rotation that pulls and plugs periodically. For example, if Jokic tends to play with starters more often than not, but SGA is constantly playing with rotational players, Jokic's numbers are going to appear better on paper because he's playing alongside a better group. And so I looked into this. How many possessions?
Hold on now, because Shea got a good group too. Jay Will, the other Jay Will, Chet Holmgren, Luol Dort, Wallace. What's the other boy's name? The other shooter, the one that be dropping 100. Wiggins. Hardenstein, Alex Caruso. What we talking about, bro?
These MVP candidates have played this season, and how many of those possessions were exclusively with the starting lineup. And it turns out that Nikola Jokic does have the benefit of playing with the best players on the Nuggets more than any of these other candidates play with theirs. 17% of all of his minutes on the court coming alongside
I don't
the
blame
Nuggets
you, Steph.
starters. For comparison, Steph only plays with the Warriors starting lineup 9% of the time. But in most cases, this number is negligible. For example, Giannis plays with the Bucks starters virtually as much as Jokic plays with his. And at most, the difference in time these players see on the court with their best unit varies by less than 10% of their total playing time. In other words, it doesn't really matter who Jokic is playing around. He rises the tides for his entire team significantly more than anyone else in the entire league.
Love that.
In fact, according to Cleaning the Glass, when you translate these on-off splits to an estimation of impact on Denver's record, the Nuggets are a staggering 45 wins better as a team when Jokic is on the floor versus when he isn't. For comparison, Shea's on-court impact on the Thunder projects to them being about when he isn't.
Dang, Avisa Zubac up there. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Without him, bro, yeah, we'll be cooked.
For comparison, Shea's on-court impact on the Thunder projects to them being about 15 wins better as a team. But this is where the discussion becomes a matter of what you value most in your most valuable player. Because while Jokic elevates the Nuggets to one of the best teams in the league, Shea elevates the Thunder to being one of the best teams of all time. Is it more valuable to drag your team from being bad to being in title contention? Or is it more valuable to elevate your team from title hopefuls to overwhelming title favorites? This is essentially what the MVP race is boiling down to. A player with ungodly numbers propelling his team to compete at a level they have no business being
Hey,
at,
one of them
or
gotta have a breakout
historically
game with
great
these
scoring
9 games
juggernaut
like they
who is
got,
the
bro.
sole leader of the best team
One of them
in
gotta have
recent
like an
history.
insane game.
And the answer to this question may boil down to a third and final ingredient to the MVP award. A factor that is often ultimately decided who has won in the past and will more than likely be the deciding factor this season.
Oh.
In ESPN's most recent MVP straw poll, 100 members of the media were asked to cast their vote on who they thought was the MVP of the 2025 NBA season. The results? Within the top 5, Donovan Mitchell received 0
Whoa, they're already voting? Oh, this is like a rough draft.
first place votes. So did Tatum, and so did Giannis. Nikola Jokic received 30, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander received 70 of the 100 first place votes. So far, the media has spoken, and they think Shai is this season's most valuable player. But in more recent surveys asking players, NBA executives, and NBA analysts, out of the 25 votes that were casted, 18 were in favor of Jokic, and only 7 voted for Shai. Which brings us to our third ingredient in the MVP. Narratives. Beyond what you do on the court, the story has to be in your favor as well. And at the moment, every narrative is beaming directly at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to become this season's most valuable player. First and foremost, he is the best player on the best team, a formula that has led to more MVPs than any other. While Jokic is fighting the uphill battle of voter fatigue, Shai is ripe to receive his first MVP. He's not just having a great season, he's having an all-time great individual season. He plays both sides of the ball. He is the leader of the NBA's brightest young team, and in a league that's been searching for a fresh face, Shai is front and center. SGA has what I consider to be the perfect MVP resume this season. He checks every single box for what you would want in your most valuable player. He has the marquee performances, he has the momentum, he has the caliber, and of course, he's never won it before. But narratives can also lead us astray. They can allow our emotions to dictate how we perceive what we are actually seeing. And that's where precedence gives us points to reference in search for the most fair and accurate conclusion. It allows us to not be prisoners of the moment, but instead consider the history of the game and the unwritten rules we've abided by up to this point. Precedence tells us that no matter how great a player is, winning 4 MVPs before making it to the finals even twice is completely unheard of, even for the greatest players to ever play. For this same reason, voter fatigue is a frustrating but very real thing. If the MVP award purely went to the most valuable player in the league every season, Michael Jordan and LeBron would each be sitting on about 8 of them right now. Instead, the award sort of blends from one season to the next, taking in the context of everything that came before it and the consequences of it. Decades ago, MVP voters decided that the award was not reserved for the best player or even the player having the best season. Instead, it was an award that had multiple ingredients, multiple boxes that needed to be checked off. But even by their own criteria,
I'm not gonna lie, Shai checking a lot of those boxes, bro. Defense, offense.
If it was simply the player having the best season, Michael Jordan would have won it about 8 times. If it was the best player on the best team, Michael Jordan would have won it about 8 times. But instead, he has 5, which has essentially set a firm benchmark on how voters vote for the foreseeable future. Voters messed up by not rewarding MJ with the number of MVPs he rightfully earned, and so every player that came after him is held to the same arbitrary, convoluted standard. As one fan put it, sports writers regret not giving Jordan all the MVPs and now punish everyone after that like it's a Supreme Court case and not just something they could change at any time. A case of we do it this way because we've always done it this way. The MVP award should be given to the most valuable player in the league, but it's not quite that simple, and it never has been. To make the argument that Jokic deserves the MVP because he is objectively having the best season in basketball right now would be the most logical conclusion. But it would also be ignoring the 78 years of history, tradition, and expectations that we have come to follow. Based on the responses to this discussion so far, it appears that now more than ever, the players and the people involved in the NBA from game to game view the award as a reflection of simply who is the best, most impactful player, and the media looks at it through the lens more of story and narrative. And in the end, it is the media who gets to vote. With less than a month left in the regular season, the race for the MVP only seems to be getting tighter with each game. And in what is shaping up to be the greatest MVP battle we have ever seen, voters will have to either stay the course and vote for a player that has built a near perfect MVP case, or make a rare exception to a player that is quite possibly having the most impactful individual season in modern NBA history.
I gotta still go with Jokic, dog. Good video, man. An amazing video. I wasn't planning on reacting to this, cause I saw it come out. Then I saw Flight react to it. I was like, oh damn, now I gotta react to it, bro. But good video. I'm glad I react to it, dog. I mean, this MVP race got me everywhere, man. I don't. I'm saying Jokic right now, but who knows? At the end of the season, when I go back and look at it and talk about it with the guys, man, I might say Shai. You know what I mean? He is playing both sides of the balls. Averaging 33, 5, and 6. Shooting efficient. Almost a 50, 40, 90. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Other than that, man, good video, man. I'll try to react to the next one he posts, but other than that, catch you guys in the next one.